Today we have a guest. We're going to have a conversation with someone who didn't listen to the naysayers and followed his heart from the start. Maxwell Z. Bentley is the founder of Bentley Media, a video production studio known for pioneering hero videos and the author of Video Marketing Secrets. In 2007, Maxwell was one of the first teen YouTubers to go viral, and his popularity attracted the attention of his first client. He went on to edit a trailer that received over 100 million views online, and he has not looked back since. He's worked on impactful campaigns for brands like Disney, Hyundai, and Xbox, and has also been featured in Forbes and NPR. So Maxwell, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's great to be here.
All right, so we're going to talk about how all this evolved. But I want to first go back and look at what was happening to you as a child that piqued your interest in this type of work.
So when I was 6 years old, I picked up my mother's video camera. It was back when cameras had videotapes. So it was a Panasonic camcorder, and immediately I was fascinated by it. I just loved running around the house, filming whatever was going on around me, whether it was fireworks on the 4th of July or even mundane things like my mom doing laundry. Whatever was happening in front of me, I was filming it. And it's just a passion that I never grew out of. By the time I was 8 or 9, I started to take an interest in commercials, where most of my friends were watching movies and TV shows. They would show up to the lunch table talking about the new Star Wars movie, and I would be talking about the new Betty Crocker commercial I saw the night before. So you can imagine the awkward conversations that ensued, but luckily my grade school popularity was never important, and I continued to focus on what was interesting and meaningful to me. And luckily I stuck to my guns. Ended up going to film school over at the University of North Georgia, started my video production business 10 years ago. And now I get to wake up every day and just live my inner child and just do what I love. And in my eyes, next to having a roof over your head, next to having good relationships in your life, and next to having food in your fridge, having a career that you really love is one of life's greatest gifts. And I get to wake up every day and enjoy that.
Maxwell, you are singing my song. This is what I really love helping people do. And you were able to do it from the beginning. But what happens to most people is they have this dream of something that they want. Now, unless it's you want to be an NBA player and you might be height challenged, so you don't have the physical abilities. But so many people have an idea of what they want to do. And there is someone who comes in and tries to shut them down. Did you have that happen? Did you have any of those incidents?
I've had some loud voices in my life tell me that I shouldn't, I couldn't, I wouldn't. A lot of folks bought into the starving artist stereotype, which,
yeah.
So that's something that gets repeated over and over and over again, even though it's not really true. I mean, anybody can starve. You don't have to be an artist to starve.
That's exactly right.
Right. And so I did have a family member, a close family member of mine, when I told them that I was going to be changing my major to film. At the time, I was studying computer science in college. Oh. So let me just paint the picture of that real quick. I had just started freelancing as a videographer. I had my first client. I was already successful on YouTube back in 2006, 2007. And here I am in class studying how electricity flows through the CPU and how to program these little machines, which I'll admit I was good at it. I was getting straight A's, actually. I think I got better grades in computer science than I did in film school, to be honest with you. But it just wasn't where my heart was. Mm-hmm. I didn't vibe with it. And I had discovered that my school had just created a film and digital media program. And so one day I just walked out of my computer science class in the middle of class and went to the nearest computer I could find and changed my major. And that was actually one of the best decisions I had ever made. However, my family member, when they found out, they said, "Oh, you got to get that computer science degree. You have to." And I understand what they meant. I mean, they were talking about job security. They were thinking about my future. They wanted me to have a nice job where I could make lots of money, something a little bit less risky. But here's the problem. I take risks.
Mhm.
I don't mean risks like I'm going to go to Las Vegas with $10,000 and sit at a slot machine or play blackjack. I take risks as in I will put everything on the line for something that I know I'm going to enjoy and that's going to elevate my life and my clients' lives and the lives of the people around me. I will put everything on the line. I will watch my credit score suffer for that. And so I did not back down from that decision. And eventually they came around and said, "You know what? I'm happy for you. I see what you're doing. I see that this is making you money and you've got my full support." And I'm lucky to have that because a lot of folks never really get that from their family or from the people who are close to them. I'm just happy that I stuck to my guns. And I encourage anybody listening to this to stick to your guns also. It may not work out right away. You may not see the treasure chest of gold on the other side of the rainbow right away. You might have to marathon. You might have to climb a mountain or two to get there. But when you listen to your gut, just like when our body tells us we're hungry or our body tells us when we're thirsty, our body also tells us when we're doing something that feels right or feels wrong. And a lot of us ignore the gut part in favor of the noise that's happening all around us, telling us we need to do this or we need to do that. And when you listen to that gut and you heavily, heavily invest in yourself, the only choice is for it to pay off. There's no other outcome.
This is such a brilliant thought, and one that I really want to flesh out a little bit here, Maxwell, is because, we do have this idea that we have elevated of what the picture of success is, right? So we have prevailing wisdom, and especially those from, generations who have already walked down this path. This is what you must do in order to be successful. This is the career you must have in order to make money. And when you look at, 100 years ago, making money was all about survival. Can I put food on the table? Can I put a roof over my head? But as we look at generations that have come up, we figured out survival and we've moved on to how can we find joy and meaning in our work? How can we see that what we bring to the table within our companies by sharing our gifts and talents, that is something that can not only make us money, but it is also something that's going to bring us joy. And I love how you have pulled out the feeling in your body, the message from your gut. And one thing that, when I work with clients on human design, what we find is our mind gets in ahead of our gut, of our heart. And that's where we end up going down the wrong path. So I applaud you for sticking by your guns. I think most of us know that is not the easy thing to do, especially when family members might be in a position where they are holding the purse strings or perhaps, can make your life happy or miserable. So good for you for that. And I think that is something more people could do from the beginning, but we have the could, would, should that you mentioned, those painful words that take us off the path. So bravo to you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you actually bring up an excellent point. You mentioned earlier that we're not taught how to listen to our guts, especially from the perspective of our careers. Mm-hmm. And to what you mentioned earlier, 100 years ago, it was all about survival. Mm-hmm. Let's just make sure we can bring home the bread. Well, if you look at the institutions that are in place today, that were created over 100 years ago. The public education system, at least in America, was founded during the Industrial Revolution. So if you think about some of the big figures during the time, you had John D. Rockefeller, you had Henry Ford. They wanted people who could follow a process, who could go into the factory, turn the wrench, and that's all they did. And they kept their voices down and they did what they were told. That's what America needed at that time. And as a result, we have never really let go of that. The public education today doesn't really champion risk, doesn't really champion original thought, if I'm being totally honest. Be a little bit spicy. But so we have to realize that, and we have to be in a place where we are around people who say, you know what? We have to be around people who help us realize our own value. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs, self-starters, business owners struggle. When they send that invoice, they've got that sinking feeling like, oh, am I worth all of this? Am I delivering this much value? And so a lot of it is just building the confidence and understanding, like for myself, I will have different moments where I'll be working with a client and I'll have an idea at 2 a.m. I'll see something on TV. I'll see a billboard and I'll be like, oh, I really like how that looks. That's going to be really aligned with their brand. And we have this music and this type of voiceover and this exact length on this platform. And I realized I can charge a lot of money for that. And I do, because as long as the deliverable might be the video, but what I'm really delivering is the moment that somebody whispers, wow, when they watch the video. And as long as I am delivering 10 times the value of whatever I'm charging or more, then I feel good. And entrepreneurs need to build that and be around people who champion them, because the institutions we have in place right now don't even mention it as a possibility.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And so much in there of being able to charge our value, we have to go back into what are our money mindset issues. And those just didn't drop in. Those were something that came through generations. So examining that, seeing the value of what you provide and providing that, the pricing as value-based, how much value will your client recoup as a result of that investment? That can help build your confidence there. Really good point there. But Maxwell, I do want to go back a little bit in history, because I don't know if I've ever met someone who became viral as a teen YouTuber. So if you could take us back in time to let us see, like, how old were you? What happened? So you've got your mom's, a handheld palm camera, you're videoing all kinds of things. What happened to get you to YouTube?
Well, first of all, let's consider the context of YouTube today versus YouTube 20 years ago. Yes. When most people watch YouTube is so much different now, because we have all of these big name YouTubers they know how to hack the algorithm and they split test all of these thumbnails and titles, and they look at the retention. Like, people are diabolical with it now. It's all about watch time. It's all about retention. What can we put out that's gonna go viral? And plus you have all of these sponsors coming in, and like there's these sponsored messages that are integrated in. Sometimes they're integrated into the video smoothly. Sometimes they're just placed. So it's a very different landscape now. But if you rewind back to 2006, there was none of that. So this was after my Panasonic videotape recorder. This was I had a Canon PowerShot. So it was fits in the palm of your hand, a little digital camera with an SD card. And that way I could edit. And I would go on YouTube and I would type in the name of my favorite video game platform, which at the time was Roblox. And Roblox is a multi-billion dollar company today. And anybody who has kids or knows people who have kids probably knows what Roblox is. But in '07, it was brand new. And so I would create videos bringing Roblox characters into the real world. And there were only a handful of people making Roblox videos at the time, and I was one of them. And it was very like, I might be wearing rose-colored glasses. I might be romanticizing this a little bit, but it was just a very simple time. Like kids would come on and create videos and put them on YouTube, and the quality wasn't that great, but nobody cared. Nobody cared about retention and watch time and hooks and going viral and stuff like that. And so the way I went viral was completely by accident. I created a video about Roblox and another game you've probably heard of called Minecraft. And in the title of the video, I put Minecraft and Roblox in the title, two very hot keywords at the time. And what ended up happening was that video took off. It ended up getting, I think, 2.5 million views over its lifespan. And I had also monetized that video, meaning I could put ads around the video and generate money whenever somebody watched the video or somebody clicked. And so I was making residual income from that at 17, which was really cool. Or maybe I think I was maybe 14 or 15. I was making $200 or $300 a month at 14, just sitting around watching these views come in on this video. And I mean, I was ready to retire. I felt like at 15, I felt like I had life figured out and I was ready to drop out of high school and retire. But so that's a glimpse of how it happened. And I was very lucky to have access to a camera and have access to editing software and to be able to get onto YouTube, and for that to happen, because that's how Roblox discovered me. And they saw that viral video. Their creative director reached out to me and said, "Hey, we would like you to create content for us for the Roblox YouTube channel," which,
wow,
to me, that was the coolest feeling in the world.
Just fell in your lap. That's great.
Yeah, my first high-profile freelance client at 17. And I was creating videos for their YouTube channel. And a couple of years in, I started creating some of their internal corporate communications videos and then some external marketing videos. And then one day, their senior video producer asked me to edit a trailer for the Roblox iPhone app. And as soon as that launched, it got over 100 million views online, organically, at least that I can track. And right around that time, I was 20. And I said, you know what? There's something here. I need to make a business out of video marketing. And that's how it all happened.
That is so amazing. So while this is happening, was your family aware? Were your friends aware? Like the people in your universe and ecosystem, what impact or, what were you hearing back from them?
My family was very, very aware and very proud. My dad actually flew me to the Roblox headquarters in California and actually met them a couple of times. And so that was really cool.
Yeah.
In school, I was very shy. I was so shy. I would go to class and I would not talk. And when I would talk, I would just I just spoke with a lot of brevity and didn't really figure out how to socialize really until later in high school. But I think I whispered to a few people that I had a YouTube channel, but I don't know. I didn't know how to self-promote back then. And I was shy. I was like, what if people think I'm a nerd because I played games, and all those little thoughts that kids have that I was no stranger to. And so I my high school popularity didn't exist, but my online popularity was just crazy. In fact, to this day, I continue to have folks reach out to me and say, "Hey, I just want you to know your videos made my childhood."
Oh my gosh, that's
And
amazing.
I've even bumped into people. There's 2 or 3 people that I've bumped into in the wild. They're like, "Are you Max from YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, and so that's happened a couple of times, and it's amazing to see these 15, 16-year-old videos still out there, and still people still like them.
Yeah, and I think the point of this is, as generations come along and evolve, that in this generation, what we saw is people were connecting by what they created, right? Like you were putting your art out there. You were expressing yourself through how you created this. You were able to share your perspective and insights by what you were able to produce. And you got a very loud and clear, resounding endorsement for that. So I'm even thinking, why did you go into computer science? Like, what was it, And it might have been the advice of a counselor or, again, a parent or somebody very wise saying, this is the path you must follow. But, I love that you got up and walked out of class.
Well,
that's good.
When I was 3 years old, I had my first computer, and it was a Windows 95. And that was back in the days of dial-up, where it would take 20 minutes sometimes to load a website.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted to play a game online, then sometimes it took an hour. But technology and computers, it was very, I had a very extreme intuition for it at an early age. I knew exactly how everything worked, how what all the buttons did. And I got really good at figuring out when things went wrong, like how could I figure this out and how can I fix it? And so I became the family tech support agent for a number of years. And I would get calls from my mom, my dad, my grandmother, my cousins, like whenever anybody had any tech issue whatsoever, they would call me. And what most of them didn't realize was I needed to be in front of the computer to figure it out. Like, I can't, when you're trying to tell me, when I'm on the phone and you're trying to tell me what's going on, I am like, okay, what do you see over here? What do you see there? And I'm like, I'm trying to visualize it. So because of that, my family was like, oh, Maxwell's a computer wizard. Of course he should study computer science. Of course he should pursue that. And I will say it is very helpful in my line of work as somebody who knows their way around technology and around computers. It's very helpful. I've never had to call any IT support. I've never had to take my computer anywhere to get it fixed. But even though it's something that I'm really, 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 really good at, it's just not where my heart is. My heart is on the creative side. It's on the marketing and the storytelling side. And I look at the tech skills as just something that has helped me get further quicker.
Yeah, it's a tool to get you there. But yeah, so it sounds like you've got this real ability visually to figure out problems and also communicate stories. So, as you moved into this and you decided you would major in your, video marketing, getting into that, as you started out, Maxwell, I'm sure there were times where things just didn't fall in your lap, where you faced a challenge in starting your business. So can you go back to maybe some of the things that you tried that didn't work and what you learned about it?
Well, beginning my business, Bentley Media, 10 years ago, I was all creative with no business acumen and no business experience. I had a camera that I got for Christmas. I had a gaming computer that I used for video editing, and I had a very cheap light kit and microphone that no videographer should ever use. And that's what I had. So that's what I used. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be $20 an hour for a while, and I'm going to see what kind of business comes in, and we're just going to start there, and I'm going to figure the rest of it out. And the very first gig I did after Roblox, I had a couple. I had one for my school. My school hired me to do a little social media video. And another one was for a beauty consultant. And over time, the stakes kept getting higher and higher and higher. And the amount of work involved, the budgets kept getting higher. And I never really, I didn't really understand contracts and how to talk about budget and how to talk about all of these things. So a lot of times I would show up to these discovery calls with a lot of anxiety because I knew I was good at video, but the business side, the only way that I could get better was just to keep putting myself into these situations and then observing and learning and having the advice and recommendations of mentors that I could talk to. There was one project where I didn't even have them sign a retainer or sign a contract or talk about the price. We just showed up, shot the video, edited, and then I dropped the price afterward. And they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We didn't realize this was going to be $10,000. And it's moments like that where my heart just sank. And I was like, oh God, they're going to sue me. And maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I felt really bad about that. And so I have made mistakes. I have made all kinds of errors and mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes. But I had a really good mentor tell me that to be out here if you're making mistakes and you're growing, not just making mistakes, because if you keep making this same mistake over and over again, that's a problem. But if you're making mistakes and you're learning and you're growing and you're getting criticized, that means you are out here. That means you are doing something new. You are pioneering. You are taking risks that 99% of people just don't want to do. And so I had to reframe my mind to think that way, that okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. For example, I am emceeing an event this Friday at my alma mater. Now, the first time I ever emceed anything 4 years ago, I was kind of bad at it. I would get up, my legs were shaking and my voice got really high because I was so anxious and my throat was tightening up. And there was a lot of dead air during the day, which I realized as an MC, there's never supposed to be any dead air. You better keep talking. You better talk about something. So, but see, I look at this event coming up on Friday and I'm like, I feel good. I don't feel like I need to script anything out. I've got some one-liners coming up in my head, and I'm going to go meet some of the people I'm going to be introducing on stage, get a vibe, make sure I'm not over-energetic or under-energetic. And it all just comes with experience. But if I never agreed to do that MC gig in the first place 5 years ago, I wouldn't be where I am now. So that comfort with making mistakes has helped me grow.
Yeah, this is a really great point. I am coaching a couple of people who have left corporate to start their own business right now. And what I see is this fear and hesitation to hold back until I get everything perfect, until I know exactly what's right. But one of them asked me a question last week. He asked, so I'm not really sure this is the person I should be working with, and I'm not really charging a lot because I'm getting started, but should I walk away from them? Should I really just concentrate on one niche? And my advice was to encourage them to continue working with them, because when you do jump in, get in the messy middle, you start learning maybe some processes that work. You learn who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. But if you sit back and wait until everything is exactly right, I'm here to tell you that never happens, that you have to get in. And I applaud you, Maxwell, on your perspective of when things don't work out. I also share that. There are no failures. There are only lessons learned. And you don't learn them until you step in and see what it looks like for you. So that's really good. And thank you for being so vulnerable to share that, because we all have things that we run into. I've got a whole laundry list of things that I did wrong, but what I'm trying to do is help others prevent doing that. So what would you say? And the point I want to make is, many of us, when we start our businesses, we're really good at what we do, but we're not necessarily as accomplished to the same level as running a business or marketing or things such as that. So from your perspective, what are some commonly held beliefs people have about marketing that you can come in and help people see things differently? What are people kind of bumping into the wall on that they don't need to?
A lot of entrepreneurs have this mindset of, oh, little old me doing that, going on a magazine, going on a podcast, hosting an event, writing a book, promoting myself. It just creates this horrible feeling for so many people. And it's completely natural because we are raised, well, most of us are raised to be humble, to be unassuming of our own strengths and our gifts, to keep our head down and just focus on anything else other than promoting. And here's the difference. And this is the key to marketing yourself. Promoting yourself is different from bragging.
Yes.
Or boasting. Bragging is, oh, look at my $18,000 Rolex, or look at my car, or look at, we just spent $250,000 on a basketball court, or what. That's boasting. That's bragging. But when I show up to a call and say, I'm here to help entrepreneurs feel confident and comfortable on camera so they can reach the audience they are called to serve, I don't feel like I'm boasting. I don't feel like I'm bragging. I am providing value. This is what I am good at. This is what I do. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the self-consciousness and the self-doubt is going to ever go away completely, because it doesn't.
Right.
But what we can do is just get used to it and keep it in perspective. When I wrote my book, Video Marketing Secrets, I had that same thought. I was like, I'm 29. Like, how can I write a book? What? Me? And then when I started writing, I do have a gift of being a writer, so a lot of it came naturally to me. But there was a lot of challenges. There's a lot of emotional hangups during that process. But I knew that if I had a book, if I had something that I could give or sell that is just where I just give away all of my expertise and my knowledge around this subject area, that's going to build my authority. That's going to I get invited onto podcasts. I get featured. That's when I got featured in Forbes, is when I wrote my book. It's when I got invited to do a TED Talk in California next year. And so it's an authority builder. And it was more difficult once the book was written and I got I received the first shipment. I wanted to keep it all to myself. I didn't want to share it with anybody, actually, because there were so many stories in this book from my childhood and from different clients. And I was like, oh man, it's like my inner child, my shy inner child came back out and said, oh man, I'm opening the door to criticism. What if somebody leaves a 1-star review? And what if, all these things? And it's just one of those things. I'm like, you know what? I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm doing it anyway. And that's what we have to do as entrepreneurs and as small business owners and as creatives. When we are doing what is uncomfortable, when we say, you know what, I'm probably not going to be that good at this the first time, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's the only way to grow. That's how we build confidence. And that's how we grow a business. And on the marketing side, that's how we attract our clients. It's just by showing up and being ourselves and just articulating the value we provide.
Yes. And that expressing yourself, who you are, is how you put your gift into the world. And if you're worried about what other people think, that's on them. That's their insecurities, right? Like, as long as you're expressing and fully living that, I think that's really important. Yeah. So really good on that. There's the other point. Oh, I'm trying to think. It came and it just flew right out of my head. But I think getting uncomfortable and being willing to take that risk. The thing that kind of got me over the hump, Maxwell, about video was I have a friend who's a videographer, and he said to me one day, do you know the person who needs you so desperately is looking for you, but they can't find you because you're hiding? And I did want to go back and say, your hesitation to put your book information out there, you did call your book Video Marketing Secrets, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the secret, like, we do have this innate kind of approach of, if it's a secret, we're not supposed to tell. So you wrote it, you wanted to tell it. And then when it came time to be brave to put it out there, there was that natural hesitation. So very easy to understand. So I know, Maxwell, you create something called hero videos. Could you tell us a little bit more what that is?
Yes. So the running title for them is Hero Videos. I'm playing around with it a little bit, whether they're going to be success story videos or hero videos. I think ultimately the title of them is going to depend on the context for the client. But after spending 10 years producing every type of marketing video you can imagine, all the way from simple social media, event highlights, all the way up to TV campaigns and game trailers, I realized that there is one specific type of marketing video that stands out significantly above all of the others. And there is a very specific recipe that goes into them that I am calling hero videos or success story videos. It is all hinged on a foundation that when a brand or a business says something great about themselves, it is quietly, privately interpreted in the mind of a consumer as a claim. But when somebody else, a customer, a client, a student, talks about how great a business is, or a brand is, or a school, or a nonprofit, when somebody else shares their experience about that brand, it is perceived as a fact. And so the hero video framework takes a really powerful story from a client or a student, tells that story in a 60-second mini movie. We have our writers work directly with the client to develop a voiceover script, so we don't put any words in their mouth, but we just help them organize the story in the most compelling and powerful way. We get some footage of them in action in a way that doesn't feel staged. We integrate historical photos. Maybe they have some old iPhone photos or videos. We talk about the pain that they experienced before working with the brand or the person or the coach, and the success, the overwhelming success that they have seen afterward. And then insert some really compelling non-corporate music, music that just tugs at the heartstrings and sets the tone and the emotion and the pace. And the first time I put one of these together when you mix it all up and put it together, I got chills.
Yeah.
For the first time. I don't normally get chills like that. And my team got chills. And more importantly, my client and their audience got chills. And so I huddled up with my team and I said, we've got to lean into this. Like, there is something powerful here. This is a specific combination of elements that is creating an emotion for a business that is delivering ethical value to their clients. And that is the hero video.
Yeah. That is so amazing, because what you've got there, when you get a physical reaction to something that you see, that emotion, that energy in motion, right? That's that human connection that you have. And that's priceless. Okay. So talk about the value of your video when you can elicit some type of emotion and then for the viewer to go take action. That's a really pretty powerful thing, Maxwell. So you hang on to that. I'll be looking to see what you have coming down the pipe on that. So I'll be very interested in that. So Maxwell, you are local here in Atlanta. And so I do want to ask you the question, do you stay local? Where do you go for your clients? How far is your reach?
So we have clients across the globe. A large percentage of them are concentrated here in the Atlanta area. But we will travel for folks who would like us to come outside of Atlanta. And I've had a client as far away as London. I've also hired creative teams as far away as South America and even as far away as Australia. And actually, COVID-19, the pandemic, accelerated that. A lot of folks were networking over Zoom during that time. That's how I got connected with some very talented people who were not in the United States. And so that's been a lot of fun. But yes, I work with clients anywhere. A lot of them happen to be in Atlanta, though, because that's where I'm from and that's where I started my business.
Yes. And I think too, word of mouth referral is very powerful. So we see each other at networking events and people see a video and, oh, where'd you get it done? So that's a natural thing. So, I know we were talking before we got on recording. You mentioned something about you have a class coming up. Could you share a little bit more about this? This podcast is going to air the end of October here in 2024. So you've got something that might be pretty timely.
Yes. So I discovered that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who do not have any idea where to start with video marketing. They see content that's being put out on social media. They wonder, like, am I that person? Can I be the person who's creating content? Well, what do I talk about? Where do I put the camera? Do I need a fancy camera? What about the lighting? What about the background? What about the microphone? What if I'm too young? What if I'm too old? Like, all of these thoughts and anxieties start coming through our head. And a big portion of that is, how do I be confident on video? How do I know where to look? What kind of energy level do I have? And so I designed earlier this year an in-person masterclass experience that covers video marketing strategy for entrepreneurs, on-camera confidence techniques that I spent hundreds of hours in media training, learning how to go on TV, how to go on radio. I take all of the golden nuggets from that and I teach them to my guests. I also share about the latest trends. Like, for example, now video is having a moment on LinkedIn with the new vertical video features. And a lot of professionals are seeing that and they're wondering how they can tap into that. And so my goal for everybody it's called Video Marketing Live, by the way. That's the name of my masterclass. And my goal for all of my guests is to bring them in to a comfortable area where we can learn, where we can discuss and network a little bit, and just equip everybody with the strategies of video marketing, but also the mindset around showing up on video. And I've had 3 events so far. I've gotten great feedback. I've been tweaking them over time and adding new things as new trends come in. And the next one is going to be November 20th. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern here at my headquarters in the Buckhead neighborhood of Atlanta. And it's a lot of fun. And if you feel like it's something that would be valuable, I would love for you to look into it.
All right. Well, it does sound like it has a lot of value. I know we all can use that. And yes, I even saw last week on LinkedIn, there was a feature about how many more or how much more video is effective on LinkedIn. So those of you in the local Atlanta area, or if you'd like to come to Atlanta, take Maxwell up on his offer and be part of that masterclass. So Maxwell, what's the best way for people to reach you if they want to reach out to connect with you, to learn more from you, or to even hire you?
Sure. You can go to workwithmaxwell.com. You can see some examples of my work. You can see some other events that I have coming up. There's also a link to my book, Video Marketing Secrets. That's a nice, easy, comfortable way to start. In my book, I reveal 15 secrets that I've learned over the years working with a very diverse clientele about how to do video marketing extremely well. And you can also send me a note directly at that website, and that's workwithmaxwell.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So many great things. You've inspired me to get back more into video. I'll be taking a look, and now I've put it out there. So y'all have to help me be held accountable on that. So thanks so much.
I'm going to hold you to it now.
Okay. All right. Follow up with me. Say, what's going on with that, Lisa? So thanks so much for being with us today, Maxwell.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This was a pleasure. It's great to see you.
All right. You too. So my takeaway is that what's written on your heart gives you clues where you can find fulfillment. And Maxwell was one of those very few who did not stray from it, or at least maybe just for a little bit. But if you're feeling that yearning in your heart that there is something more for you, I invite you to take the Reimagine You quiz. It will define one of 4 styles of how you can reimagine and take the first steps to get there. And you'll find the link in the show notes. So until next week, go chase your passion, lean into it fully, and your purpose will be revealed. When you do that and show up with a personal brand of integrity, it will take you on the path to discover your legendary self. We'll see you next week.